You know why you're going through what you're going through when you spiritually awaken? When you unplug? You know who are your gang stalkers? You know who are the one that's watching you, who's using people? We know that there's light and dark, right? We know that it's the Most High, then we also know that it's the devil, right? We know this war. But you know the people who's really watching you, who's doing this little gang stalking, the stuff that they doing and all this stuff, the ones who's watching who unplugged. You know why you being gang stalked? You know why you being watched? You know why you going through what you going through? You know why? Because a lot of these people, because religion is a scam. There's a lot of things that people been doing for years. People done witchcraft. They did scamming. They did sorcery. To be in the positions that they are in church. To get the job that they got. People who did what they did. Cheating their way to the front. Even through social media. You got people who got more followers than you. Who's stalking you and watching you. Feel threatened by you. You got people feeling threatened by you. We talking about people who's been here longer than you. Even when you go through an awakening, when you unplug from the matrix, people who you known all your life in church, that you was forced to go as a kid when you didn't understand what was going on, as a child. You got these people now looking at you as a threat. You know why? Because the stuff that you talking about, the stuff that you're exposing, these people scammed their way to the top. They did witchcraft. They did sorcery. They did covenants. They did what they did to get the job that they had. Niggas is still doing in the church with their witchcraft and the agents in there. They did all that they do. But here comes little old you, king and queen, whoever the hell you are, with your profile. You came out of nowhere and you started to speak spiritual, going through an awakening. And the stuff that you're talking about is exposing a lot of things that these niggas is doing. And you're speaking in ways that got people feeling some type of way. And the ones who's gonna feel more type of way about you, this is why the gang stalking. Your gang stalking, everything you go through comes a lot more from the people from the church, the religious, the false ones, the religious people, spiritual people. A lot of religious people, a lot of witches, a lot of warlocks. It comes from spiritual people. Not so much from the ones who's asleep and plugged, but they got a power that they could MK Ultra and control that person's mind to. But the ones who's stalking y'all, the ones who's watching y'all, the ones that you see what you seeing, it's coming from the church. The religious so-called. And witches and warlocks. Because they're looking at your page, your profile, like, where the hell did you come from, king or queen? Who are you? Why? Because you came out of nowhere. You're not cheating. You're not scamming. You're not doing what you're doing. But the stuff you're talking about, they know what you're talking about. And a lot of those who feel some type of way, it's because that's their own conviction. Because you're calling out and exposing what niggas is doing. Even if you don't even know some of these niggas. But they know you. They know of you. People feel some type of way. You didn't scam, you didn't cheat, you ain't doing witchcraft, you ain't doing sorcery, you're not buying followers. But these niggas who's been in the church for years, these witches and warlocks for years on the low, where they been at, all in the front, that people praise these niggas. Now they feel some type of way because there's an awakening happening. Everybody out of nowhere, they coming out of nowhere. A lot of people's coming out of nowhere, exposing what's happening, speaking spiritually. And they're looking at y'all because they go, well, who the hell is he or she? I've never seen them in my church. I've never seen them going to no occult. They're not part of no witch, warlock. They're not part of our little seance where we do our little secret covenants and oaths and sacrifice. Who is he or she? Where did they come from? You see, you got people feeling some type of way. Because the stuff you're talking about exposing, they know what you're talking about. But you're not doing it how they did it. These niggas cheated their way, scammed their way into the front. But they feel some type of way, and the ones who feel some type of way, that's the conviction that the Most High is giving them, spiritual people, witches, warlocks, people in the church, the religious scammers. They feel some type of way about you. Those are your gang stalkers, monitoring spirits. Those are y'all who's being gang stalked, monitoring spirits, people who's following you all of a sudden from friends, even in your family. You got people in your family too. Don't get it twisted, from mommy and daddy, both sides, bloodlines, from both their parents, their great-great-grandparents. You don't know what covenants these niggas made with demons and all this stuff too. There's witches and warlocks in your family, from both mommy and daddy, their parents too. And a lot of them in your family gone into the light, but there's also those in the dark too. You see? But when you start to expose, you start to ask questions. Now niggas start to feel uncomfortable. Uncomfortable to the fact that things are starting to get exposed about these niggas who try to hide for years about what they were doing. That's why they feel some type of way. That's why y'all being gang stalked. That's why you being watched. The people who's watching you, gang stalking you, is from the religious scammers, and it's coming from witches and warlocks. The niggas who scammed their way to the front, who cheated. They feel threatened and scared about those who God is using that woke up, that came out of nowhere. We talking about all of you, yes you, who's watching, king, queen, following me. The stuff you're talking about, the exposure, the spirituality, how you explain it in detail. They don't teach you this in church and in the occult. You just naturally is doing it because it's from the Most High. Everything you talking about. These niggas did years Sunday school with teachers, with books, but you came out of nowhere and you talking legit because they know what you're talking about. They know, but they feel threatened at the same time because you exposing things that they did. That's the conviction. People who feel some type of way about what you talk about, that's their conviction. You know that little saying that they say, if the shoe fits, well, then you're wearing it. Even though that the post or whatever you're talking about is not, you're not calling out a specific person, but people snitch on themselves and they feel some type of way about a post. Yeah, mamita, papito, you just expose yourself. That's what you're doing. That's your conviction. You feel some type of way about a post or a video. Yeah, because you know you're doing it in the wrong. That's why you feel some type of way. So you got to understand. Most High ain't playing. He knows people for years have been in the front, cheating, lying, scamming, witchcraft, sorcery. They came into the front. Even those in your family, them niggas is low-key. People in your family from both mommy and daddy, these niggas is witches, warlocks, and covenants, and they get exposed when you employ. That's why they feel some type of way. That's why when you awaken, all of a sudden you go through an attack, you lose your job, you go through a hospital. Whatever you all of a sudden you go through is because things is getting exposed around you from people you know and don't know. Witches and warlocks, now they getting exposed. All the darkness and niggas is getting exposed. And the masks are coming off. From your family too. See? It gets deep. So the ones who feel some type of way about you, the ones who's watching you, the ones who's stalking you, who's stalking your page, the ones out here doing what they doing, coding, but the spirit's manifesting, it's coming from spiritual people, from church, witches, warlocks, covenants, occultists. They feel some type of way about you because a lot cheated their way in the front. They cheated their way to where they're at, looking all whole and mighty, using God's name for a profit or for money, but using his name, and they're doing it for wrong reasons. But you came out of nowhere exposing and also explaining things spiritually that they know about it, but it's exposing what they're doing. That's their conviction. They go, where did you come from? But you think the Most High don't play? You think there's not a saying in Matthew chapter 20, verse 16? In this way, the last will be first and the first will be last. Those all the way in the back seat, the nobodies. Ladies and gentlemen, all of y'all with your little profiles, your little pages now, that just came out of nowhere. That they looking at y'all hard, now they gang stalking y'all. Y'all niggas was in the back of the line. I'm talking about, you hear the honk, I heard it. You was in the back. I'm talking about a speck. A speck. Who that? Who's that king or queen back there? We talking about a speck, because there's a lot. Speck. You just jumped the damn line, but it wasn't you personally. The Most High did it. The Most High. You jumped the line. And that's why niggas feel some type of way. You skipped the line. In this way, the last will be first and the first will be last. The only niggas who feel threatened and feel some type of way about you is the ones who scammed, lied their way through the witchcraft, the sorcery, those religious pastors and priests, or all those in these churches who's liars and scammers. Even if it comes from your family too, witches and warlocks that get involved, they get exposed. They feel some type of way because you was the type, you just came up to the front now. And you exposing and talking about things spiritually, and they like, how the hell do he or she knows this? How? But what you do, you ain't go to no church. You didn't go to no occult. You ain't read no books. Yeah, you read the Bible. You read scriptures, pieces of pieces. Some of you, I didn't even finish the whole Bible like that. You know what I'm saying? But it's something that the Most High does, that he speaks to you differently, spiritually. How the Most High speaks, and he used people differently. But those who know what you're talking about and feel some type of way, they are the ones who's gang stalking, watching, trying to send curses your way, trying to stop it. The ones who feel some type of way. This is more spiritual. The ones who feel some type of way are the scammers spiritually. The witches that got exposed, the warlocks that got exposed, the niggas in the churches that got exposed, meaning the agents that got exposed, and family members in your family from both who claim that they're Christian, this and that, they got exposed. These niggas feel some type of way. And that's why they feel threatened by you. That's why they got to do this whole covenant. They got to form groups. They got to gang stalk this. It's all spiritual. You know that there's God and the devil. There's the this and that. You came out of nowhere. That's why they feel some type of way about you. And the reason why they feel some type of way about you is because the feeling that they feel is the conviction and it's the threatening. They're scared of you. It's not because we're going to bully this person like whatever. No, they're scared of you. That's why you're going through what you're going through. That's why you got to have a team and a gang around you. It's because they feel threatened and they're scared of you because of what you're talking about. Your videos, what you expose spiritually, which is the truth, with the horns, the noises, because you are too in tune spiritually. And you ain't go to church. You don't go to church. You don't go to the occult. You don't read. You don't do what these niggas did in these churches. You didn't go to Bible study. You didn't teach and did years of book readings of how they did. Things you're just talking about is naturally coming to you. The downloads, the exposure, because God is using you to speak. And that's why they feel threatened, because they know you know what you're talking about, but they feel threatened. Only the cheaters feel threatened. Only those who skipped in the front with their sorcery and their lies and their scams and their manipulation with how they do it to people, they feel threatened by those who awakened, who's doing it naturally by the Most High himself, because he comes first. But those who's talking naturally without going to church, without doing no occult, without reading books, you're speaking your facts and you exposing, and that's why they feel threatened, because these niggas be scamming in the church. Religion is a scam. Religion. You the honk? Religion is a scam. It's false. It's a lie. You got a lot of agents in the church. That's where they feel some type of way. How you expose, how they speak, because you're going to see it everywhere you go. They look at you and go, how do you know these things? It's not a question about how. You scammer, you liar. Isn't the person who you supposedly lying and scamming to the people to, you say the Most High God, right? Then you know exactly who's really speaking, who's really using people to expose. Don't question about where this person came from and what they're talking about, because supposedly if it's the same person that you lying and scamming your way about, who you speaking of, but actual people came out of nowhere and started exposing and talking, but talking about the same guy that you supposedly talking about, supposedly, then you shouldn't feel no type of way. You shouldn't feel no type of way. You shouldn't feel convicted. You shouldn't hire witches and warlocks or your gang stalkers to do what you do amongst those who skipped in the front, because the Most High used to speak about y'all niggas for all the years that y'all been cheating y'all way into the front. Now these niggas, the ones who stalking y'all, gang stalking y'all, even from your family, from the church, and those around them and their little friend groups and these witches and warlocks and covenants, the ones who feel some type of way are the ones that was in the front for so many years. Years, but they lied their way into that front. They scammed and cheated. You, my king and queen, you came out of nowhere with a profile, YouTube channel. You came through pages. You went through hell and back. You had to go into the dark, into the light. You had to experience things. And they're looking at you, king and sis, king and queen, bro and sis. They're looking at you like, who the hell is this person with the page and what they're talking about? Because they know what you're talking about. They know. They see it. But then again, they got a job to do too. We have to silence, or we have to try to bribe this person or have them on our team to stop doing what they're doing. Yeah. The ones who feel some type of way about you, the ones who's gang stalking, all the stuff you're going through because it's spiritual, the ones who feel some type of way about you and all the things you're going through is the scammers and the liars and the witches and warlocks that do dark things for evil reasons and intents, even in the churches. They're the ones that feel threatened in some type of way about Yah, who came out of nowhere, exposing and speaking things that they know what you're talking about. But they're looking at you like, who the hell is he or she? Because they didn't go to no church. They didn't. I don't recognize this kid or this girl in my. They were not part of my cult. They didn't go to my church. Are they a teacher? Do they have certificates? Certificates! BS certificates for this, and that. You see what I'm saying? There's politics in church. There's politics in these occults. It's politics. Niggas give you a certificate. What is a certificate? That don't mean nothing. A certificate. The stuff that I speak and other people speak is factual because it's from the Most High. I don't need a certificate to speak about what I'm exposing because they know what I'm talking about. I don't need a certificate with my name from a church and the person giving it to me. No, it's a scam. It's politics. I don't need that. Those are the ones that feel threatened because you came out of nowhere speaking how you're speaking, exposing them and what you've been talking about out here. And all the stuff you're talking about spiritually, exposing them how monitoring spirits, how they act, moving people, how they code one another, how they speak, how they dress, color coding, and how they act when those who unplug from the matrix start to see things that people don't see. But when you begin to speak, how these niggas come out of nowhere to start using those to watch you. And then they get freaked out about how you expose how their tactics is, the stuff you talk about, they draw us like this. They're mad, but their jaw is like this. They fear you, king, queen. They fear you. Those who's been there for years, they fear you. They fear you because you came out of nowhere. Talking how you talking, exposing these liars for years. Those who you know and don't know from your family, even niggas from church that you've seen growing up, they got exposed and they fear you. And that's why these niggas be trying to send their little occult and their spies to monitor. That's why you're going through what you're going through, because they threatened by you. But they know who's in charge. And they know the Most High don't play. And they know he's going to get his point across. You are divinely protected. Whatever he has on your life, it's going to come to pass. And he's going to do what he's going to do. And that's what they fear. And they know they can't do anything. But they just got to just do this. Even they could watch in the sideline. But the ones who feel some type of way about Yah is the ones who've been lying, scamming, witchcraft, sorcery for years. And it's coming from the church, the occult. And it's coming from those in your family, the spiritual ones. The spiritual ones. Yeah, they got exposed. And that's why they feel some type of way about you. They're threatened and scared by you. A thief doesn't break into a home. They don't just come to you just because. One person, king, queen, sis, bro, you see, they need a gang. One person, a gang, how they ganging up. One person, one individual out here. A gang. You hear the horn? A gang of people. A gang of their witches, their warlocks. Those in the church too. The church. A gang of people against one person. But they don't fail to realize that they think they're coming against you, but they're fighting God personally. That's who they're fighting. And they know they're losing this fight. You know how many people was buried? You know how many people was getting hit with things that they try to send to you that's getting sent back? I heard a horn. Even while you're still doing what you're doing, because God's plan will not be stopped. Because they know that they can't stop it. But they fear it, because even the pastor who's been on Why that was on cue. Even the pastor who's been in the church for years, who you probably seen as a kid growing up into a teen, now when you wake up, grown-ass man, grown-ass woman, spiritually unplugged, now that pastor who you seen for years is now looking at you threatened and scared. Because why? That pastor, whoever that person is on that stage, has been lying for years, scamming, witchcraft, but now they see how God is going to use you, and you think that spirit with their secret sin don't see you, and they be like, that's why you're going through what you're going through. Now everybody want to play with your mind, like, what you going through now? Now everything is happening weird in your life. Don't ever let these niggas gaslight you. All of a sudden, right? You had the perfect job, the perfect life. You had girls left and right. You was doing what you're doing. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, spiritual awakening, you unplug. Now you get fired from your job. Now you get isolated. Now you get put in cuffs. Now you get put with doctors, this and that. No, that's not the real reason. The real reason that all this happened is because you spiritually awakened and something happened in the spiritual where God decided to use you with all these niggas from your family, co-workers, people in church, everyone you seen and don't see. You're coming in tune with the spirituality because the veil been removed from your eyes. So they got exposed. Now they got to create a way to make you look crazy. Make you look a certain way, but they know that they're losing based off all your videos. They feeling some type of way, especially that narcissist or that liar who keeps lying on you and trying to put more flying monkeys. You see how they're still looking compared to what you're exposing? You see how they're still looking? People's looking at them sideways though. There's a lot of people who God laid hands on with these people in these circles pertaining to you, king, queen. So the ones who feel some type of way about you are the witches, the warlocks, and people in church. It's spiritual people that feel some type of way about you. The ones who cheated their way to the front. You're the Hong Kong QC. They're the ones who feel some type of way that they cheated and scammed their way to the front. You came out of nowhere. You was in the back. We talking about like this, a speck. You came out of nowhere. Now you in the front. They looking at you like, what? But because what you're talking about, they feel threatened because they know whose hand is on you, whose eyes is on you. They know who's speaking. Because supposedly we serve the same God, right? So you shouldn't feel some type of way. You should applaud a newcomer, a new upcomer. But no, that's not how it works. Which means, nigga, we don't serve the same God. Which means you just got exposed. What does God say? Test the spirits. You just got exposed on your BS. Now you feel some type of way. You're scared. Those who's gang stalking you, it takes a group. They're threatened and they're scared, but they get exposed. But nothing happens because no weapon formed against you is going to prosper. You are divinely protected. 100 protection. Psalm 91. They know this. That's why they fear you. But they feel some type of way because you came from the back to the front. What does Matthew chapter 20 verse 16 says? In this way, the last will be first and the first will be last. Those who feel some type of who've been in the front for years with their scams a lot, now they going to the back and they feeling some type of way about those who was in the back, who came to the front, speaking how they speaking, with no church, with no occult, with no books, with nothing. And it's because it's naturally because the Most High has given you things with insight and download spiritually. That's why. And they know it. They know it. Your family knows it. And when I mean you're the home, your family knows it from both mommy and daddy. They know it. Those who's in the dark, there's witches and warlocks from your family. They get exposed. They know it. People from church, the churches that they go to, even those who's seen you growing up in these churches, they get exposed. They know it. And all of a sudden, witches and warlocks that you see from neighborhoods and your job, they know it too. They threatened by you and they scared. That's what they monitor. That's what you gang stalk. That's what you see. It's all spiritual. Spiritual. You know what's up already. Unplugged from the Matrix. This was a download. That's where you heard the horns. That's where this video had to happen. It was a download. The Most High spoke. You already know what's up already. Now you know why you see the gang stalking all the stuff that you see. Because it's spiritual. But it's coming from spiritual people in your so-called family, religious people from the church, witches, warlocks. That's the main ones who you beefing with because they feel some type of way. The ones that lied and scammed their way to the front. Now they feel some type of way because you just came out of nowhere and skipped that line. And the stuff you're talking about It's legit. It ain't a lie. But it's like, how do you know these things? And it's like, nigga, we serve the same God supposedly, so why do you feel some type of way? Just acknowledge and know that you know who's talking. You know who's exposing. You know who's teaching. You know who's showing. Yeshua HaMashiach Yahweh, the Most High, right? Supposing that's who you're serving to, so then why you feel some type of way? Agents got exposed. Yeah, that's it is what it is. Y'all know what's up already. On to the next video.